Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Islamic Audiobooks collection. I will be reading When the Moon Split by Safiur R Mubarakpuri, which we downloaded from kalamullah.com. Let's read.
Page 88. The polytheists react to Umar's, may Allah be pleased with him's, conversion. Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, was reputed among his tribesmen for his size and temperament. Now that he was a Muslim, he was determined to announce his faith to the Prophet, peace be upon him's, foes. Who but Abu Jahl, the Prophet, peace be upon him's, fiercest enemy, deserved to hear the news first? Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, knocked on Abu Jahl's door. Abu Jahl came out and greeted him. "Welcome, what brings you here?" "I have come to tell you that I have embraced the religion of Allah and his messenger, Muhammad, peace be upon him," Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, calmly stated. Abu Jahl heard this thunderclap and said, "May God ruin you and what you have bought." Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, afterwards went to Asi bin Hashim, who hurried back into his house once he heard the news. Umar, may Allah be pleased with him's, next stop was at the house of Jamil bin Mu'ammar Jami, who was known for spreading sensational news. When Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, told him that he had embraced Islam, Jamil screamed, "The son of Khattab has turned faithless." "You lie," said Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, indignantly. "I have become Muslim." The people heard Jamil's cries, and they came running. They turned on Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, and began beating him, but he fought them off and returned home. The pagans, however, were not prepared to let Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, get away easily. They gathered and decided to put him to death. A huge crowd of people moved towards his house to carry out the verdict, but were met by As bin Wa'il Sami. He belonged to the Banu Sam, a clan that had close relations with Umar, may Allah be pleased with him's, clan, Banu Adey. Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, told As, "Your people wish to kill me." "Impossible," said As. Just then he saw the crowd milling outside and approached them. "Where are you going?" asked the people. "The son of Khattab has turned faithless," they explained. "None of these paths lead to Umar, may Allah be pleased with him's, house," he replied. The mob looked at As, who stood before them, an imposing figure in his striped Yemeni robe with lace trim. They understood his veiled threat and thought it prudent to leave Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, alone and return home. So far, the Muslims had always prayed in secret. To pray in the open was to risk being abused and beaten by the Meccans. Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, however, felt that the time had come for Muslims to practice their faith in full view of their enemies. "O Prophet, peace be upon him," Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, said one day, "don't we have truth on our side, whether we are alive or dead? Why should we hide our faith? I swear by Allah, who has sent you to us with the truth, that we will no longer hide." Umar, may Allah be pleased with him's, words rang true, so it was decided that from then on there was no need to pray in secrecy. The Muslims formed 2 rows behind the Prophet, peace be upon him, and walked to the Kaaba, one row headed by Hamza and the other by Umar, may Allah be pleased with them both. The Meccans could only watch as the Muslims began to pray behind the Prophet, peace be upon him. From that day onward, Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, was known as Faruq, one who distinguishes truth from falsehood. Ibn Mas'ud, may Allah be pleased with him, one of the Prophet, peace be upon him's, companions, said, "The day Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, accepted Islam, we gained strength and prestige." He also said, "We could not perform our prayers at the Kaaba until Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, embraced Islam." Suhaib, may Allah be pleased with him, another companion of the Prophet, said, "Islam came to light when Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, accepted light. We preached openly and congregated at the Kaaba, and we also took revenge on everyone who had persecuted us." Once again, the Meccan pagans decided it was time to hold talks on the growing strength of Islam. The conversions of Hamza and Umar, may Allah be pleased with them both, had changed things considerably, and the Meccans realized their power base was fast collapsing. Utbah bin Rabi'ah a member of Banu Abd Shams, was a chieftain of his people and well respected throughout Makkah. He addressed the other notables of Makkah who had gathered to discuss the problem of Muhammad, peace be upon him, and his followers. O people of Quraysh, shall I not talk to Muhammad, peace be upon him, and bargain with him? Perhaps he will accept my offer, in which case we will be rid of him. The council approved, and Utbah was charged with approaching the Prophet, peace be upon him, with an offer no ordinary man could refuse. Utbah found Muhammad, peace be upon him, sitting alone at the Kaaba. He said, "O my nephew, you know you enjoy a high position in this city. You are the best among us in respect to lineage. Now you have brought something very serious, and you have created a rift among your people by ridiculing them, insulting their gods as well as their religion, declaring their forefathers to be heathens and rejecting their customs. Now listen to me. I will make a few suggestions, and you may find one agreeable." "O Abul Walid," replied the Prophet, peace be upon him, "go on, I am listening." Utbah continued, "My nephew, if it is wealth you hope to obtain by your preaching, we will collect enough for you so that you will be the richest among us. If it is honour you desire, we will make you our chief and leave every decision to you. If you wish to be king, we will recognise you as our monarch. If you desire beautiful women, choose any woman from the Quraysh. We will give you 10 such women in marriage. And if you are possessed by a demon, we will find a skilled physician for you and spend all that it takes to restore your health." "Is that all you have to say?" the Prophet, peace be upon him, asked. "Yes," replied Utbah. "Now listen to me," said the Prophet, peace be upon him. "I am listening," he said. The Prophet, peace be upon him, then recited the opening verses of the Surah Fussilat. Hamim, a revelation from Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, a book with verses that are explained in detail, Qur'an in Arabic for people who understand, giving glad tidings and admonition, yet most of them turn away and so do not hear. They say, "Our hearts are veiled from that which you invite us to accept. Our ears are deaf, and between you and us is a screen. So do your work, and we will do ours." Qur'an 41:1-5. The Prophet, peace be upon him, continued to recite, and Utbah listened carefully. Then the Prophet, peace be upon him, came to the following verse. "And if they turn away, then say, I have warned you of a thunderbolt, like the thunderbolt that struck Ad and Thamud." Qur'an 41:13. Utbah put his hand on Muhammad, peace be upon him's mouth, and pleaded with him not to bring about such a terrible punishment. The Prophet, peace be upon him, came to a verse that required him to prostrate, and he did so. Having finished his recitation, he asked Utbah, "O Abul Walid, have you heard?" "Yes," he replied, "I have heard." "Then it is time for you to decide," Muhammad, peace be upon him, said. Utbah then left and went directly to his comrades. As he approached them, they noticed a strange expression on his face. They asked him what had happened, and he related what had passed between him and Muhammad, peace be upon him. "I have heard a discourse, the like of which I have never heard. I swear to God, O Quraysh, that is not poetry, nor is it the result of spells or witchcraft. Take my advice and leave this man alone. By God, something more astonishing is bound to happen than what I have heard. Now, if the Arabs kill this man, your task will be accomplished by others. And if this man brings the Arabs under his control, his kingdom will be your kingdom, his honour will be your honour, and he will prove fortunate for you." Utbah's audience grew suspicious. "You have been bewitched by his tongue," they said. "This is my opinion," replied Utbah. "Now you may do whatever you think fit." If Muhammad, peace be upon him, could not be tempted to renounce his religion, the Meccans thought, perhaps he would compromise. They sent a group of men to Muhammad, peace be upon him, with a suggestion as to how each side in the dispute could be made happy. "We wish to place before you something which will set the matter right for you," they proudly announced to the Prophet, peace be upon him. "What's that?" the Prophet, peace be upon him, asked. "You worship our gods for 1 year," they explained, "and we worship your God for 1 year. That way, if our religion is true, you will have a share of the reward, and if your religion is true, we will have a share." In reply to this suggestion from the Quraysh, Surah Al-Kafirun, the unbelievers, was revealed. Say, O you who reject faith, I do not worship that which you worship, and you do not worship that which I worship, and I will never worship what you worship, nor will you ever worship that which I worship. To you be your religion, and to me mine. Qur'an 109:1-6. Allah also revealed 2 additional verses stressing the monotheistic purity of Islam. Say, is it someone other than Allah that you order me to worship, O ignorant ones? Qur'an 39:64. The next verse was also revealed in connection with the Quraysh's suggestion, and it further drives home the point. Say, I have been forbidden to worship those whom you pray to. Qur'an 6:56. The Meccans, however, still believed that they could bargain with the Prophet, peace be upon him. Bring another Qur'an in place of this one, they haggled, or make some changes to the present one. In response to this request, Allah told the Prophet, and when my clear verses are recited to them, those who do not look forward to meeting me say, bring another Qur'an, or change this one. Say to them, it is not for me to change it of my own accord. I only follow what is revealed to me, and I fear that if I disobey my Lord, I will meet with a terrible punishment on the Day of Judgment. Qur'an 10:15. Other verses were also revealed, which made it clear that the Prophet, peace be upon him's role was not to bargain with the pagans, but to convey the message just as it was revealed to him. They were about to tempt you away from that which I revealed to you, hoping to fabricate something in my name. They would certainly have made you their friend, and if I had not strengthened you, you would have inclined to them a little. And if you had done so, I would have made you taste a double portion of punishment in this life and a double portion after death, and you would not have found anyone to help you against me. Qur'an 17:73-75. Once the Meccans understood the Prophet, peace be upon him, was sincere in his beliefs and was not prepared to compromise, they were determined to find out whether he was an actual prophet or just imagined himself to be one. In order to find out how to test Muhammad, peace be upon him, the Meccans sought guidance from some Jewish rabbis. These learned men told the Meccans to ask Muhammad, peace be upon him, 3 questions, and if he answered them correctly, then he was indeed a prophet. If, however, he could not answer them, then he was certainly an impostor. First, the rabbis told the Meccans to ask Muhammad, peace be upon him, the incredible story in their scriptures about some youths. The second question concerned a person who had travelled throughout both the East and the West. Thirdly, they instructed the Meccans to ask Muhammad, peace be upon him, about the soul. The chieftains of the Quraysh put these questions to the Prophet, peace be upon him, and Surah Al-Kahf, the cave, was revealed in response. The surah tells the story of a few young boys who, upon being persecuted by polytheists, sought refuge in a cave. Allah caused them to go into deep sleep for hundreds of years and then raised them up again as a sign of the coming day of resurrection. The chapter also tells the story of Dhul Qarnayn, the man who roamed throughout the world. Finally, the last question was answered in Surah Al-Isra. They ask you about the spirit. Say, the spirit is my Lord's affair, and man has been given but little knowledge. Qur'an 17:85. Muhammad, peace be upon him, had correctly answered all 3 questions put to him by the rabbis through the Quraysh. Now that the Quraysh had evidence that Muhammad, peace be upon him, was a true prophet, they were faced with a difficult decision. They were still not prepared to embrace Islam without reservations, as Muhammad, peace be upon him's followers had. The solution, they believed, was to ask the Prophet, peace be upon him, to let them enter Islam not as typical Muslims, but as Muslims with special status. The majority of the Prophet, peace be upon him's followers being from the lower strata of Meccan society, the elite of the Quraysh could not consider interacting with their inferiors on equal terms. They met the Prophet, peace be upon him, to discuss this idea. The Prophet, peace be upon him, was so eager to have the Meccan nobility embrace Islam that he may have been on the verge of accepting their proposal. But Allah ordered him, peace be upon him, to resist the temptation in the following verse. Send not away those who call on their Lord morning and evening, seeking his face. You are not accountable for them, nor they for you. If you turn them away, you will be among those who are unjust. Qur'an 6:52. The Prophet, peace be upon him, was thus forbidden to give the nobility among the Quraysh any special consideration within the fold of Islam, thus effectively ensuring the complete absence of a class system. This meant that no Muslim could be superior to his brother in Islam except through faith and good deeds. The Prophet, peace be upon him, was also sent to his people to warn them that if they continued rejecting the call to faith, Allah might at any time punish them severely. He cautioned them, but they waited and watched. Nothing happened, so their inherent arrogance grew, and they challenged the Prophet, peace be upon him, to hasten Allah's punishment. Allah replied to their request in the following 3 verses. Yet they ask you to hasten on the punishment, but Allah will not fail in His promise. Verily, a day with your Lord is like 1,000 years of your reckoning. Qur'an 22:47. They ask you to hasten on the punishment. Indeed, hell will encircle the unbelievers. Qur'an 29:54. Are the plotters of wickedness not afraid that Allah will cause the earth to swallow them up, or that Allah's punishment will seize them unexpectedly, or that He may call them to account in the midst of their daily affairs when they have no chance to escape, or that He may cause them to waste away gradually? Truly, your Lord is kind and merciful. Qur'an 16:45-47. Again, the Makkans found a way to evade the truth. They remained stubborn in their opposition and made further demands of the Prophet, peace be upon him, asking him to enact miracles even as they hoped he would be unable to perform them. Thus they wavered, sometimes approaching the Prophet, peace be upon him, with compromises, and at other times challenging him to do the impossible. Many of the Makkans felt that the only solution was the sword, while others feared the consequences of killing their adversary.
Jazakallah khair for listening.